Hello, we're back, and Ernest is going to play the Suite Number 5 in C minor by Bach.
That's right.
And afterward, Honegger Paduana, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to play both movements or just the first one to start off?
Maybe the first one. Let's do one at a time.
Okay. I'll take my earpiece out while I play.
Yes, more comfortable that way. Excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Very, very nice playing. Have you played it both ways with these regular tuning and the scordatura?
No, I
only the scordatura.
This is the first time I'm playing this suite, pretty much. So, and my teacher suggested I should play with the scordatura. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely sound.
It's a bit challenging at first, but
yes.
I've gotten used to it. I think pretty all right.
Right. Yeah, seems to be good. So it's extremely good. Some things. It's not so much later on, but at the very beginning, it seems to me it could. I don't quite feel the sense of pulse. And I think it has to do with the opening chord. I know there's a problem. You play and then you have to retake if you play separate, right? But maybe it's a matter of just having somehow keeping the feeling that we have be however we do that. Maybe I don't know if there's a way to make the break less long, or to somehow make it feel like we know where that A flat is going to occur. That rather than it's somewhere, but we're not quite. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So somehow that was in my mind. Later on in the second half, I didn't feel that. I felt the pulse going in a good way. So, but you maybe try the opening and see if we can establish that.
Okay, try.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, good. So I think now that I'm listening in this context, I think it's just a little bit on the late side. By the time you get to the third beat comes a touch late. Maybe you can be more strict. Of course, that means you have to either hold the C a little less long or make the break a little bit less long. But to try to make sure those first two beats are in the same tempo, pretty much as the rest of the bar. Feel the second beat, I would say. Will you try once more?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, and then it comes a little bit later also, but I think that's to your advantage when that's more. It's a little more convincing when it. Yeah. The first couple of bars were perfect. That felt very, you could feel very well. This suite's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it always strikes me how that, C minor and then this A flat Oh, in every movement, right? Let's see. Right? And then in the fugue, and now and then so it's like a motive almost through the whole suite. In the prelude, the A flat seems emphasized. Like there's a crescendo to it. The chord is dissonant and it's higher. So everything tells you go to the A flat. In the Allemande, it seems less clear. Like is it or is it? I always thought of it the second way, that the A flat, it retires a little bit. It's a more colorful and not a step forward, which works out with the rest of the bar. And then we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, but I think that's kind of a central part of the way the music's written, is that relationship, how the C, how we color that. Of course I play legato. So it's sort of a question or something like that. But somehow I feel like you could do something that would be more clear, what your intentions are, how that A flat relates to the C. Is it sort of questioning? Is it kind of a, am I making sense?
Yeah.
And I think that, carries all the way through the piece. It's not with A flat, but right. It's different, but it's not. They're not separate entities. That at least I feel that. And I think it's written that way because of the he's connecting those two notes in some way.
Yeah.
So whether the A flat is more or less or some different color, but maybe you can do something that relates them to each other. But would you mind trying something along those lines? Okay, very, very good. I feel like I'm hearing some connection between those that to me seems good. Very good. You know, you might consider there in the third bar. I mean, always struck me a little bit that passage, you know, because everything's da ba da da dum ba dee da da, and then suddenly he goes to this, you know, kind of florid writing, very expressive, right? It almost feels like we could change the expression slightly. I mean, I know you're doing a sort of, you know, period instrument approach to some degree. It seems like, so I don't know what's in your bag of tricks, you know, that you can do, but it does strike me like instead of playing each time, you know, the sort of to make it a little different, maybe the first, or maybe kind of that feels quite melodic there at the top. You know, you might connect those a little more, and then it would be a little more variety and a little more singing. You know, and that it would kind of break up each one being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. It comes to these parts that, to my ears, are quite, well, expressive, I suppose. You know, maybe more than the other. So that's bar 11. After these sort of free bars. Now, I thought you could. Maybe there's a way you can build it more. That by the time you get here, and then resolves, and but it keeps going to. So we feel. Still, the dominant. Now we feel E flat. Now back to C minor, and you know that maybe that could be a little more rich or a little more expressive, shaped more, right? And he does that thing. He does that in the prelude, right? Right. It probably, I think it happens another time. So I'm not sure if it happens twice in this, but it's kind of a signpost, end of a phrase, maybe, you know. And it just feels quite new, doesn't it? You know, harmonically or something. I think we could bring more that this is, something's kind of... Right. Maybe a little more of all four notes on that chord. And again, it's quite expressive. Yeah, it feels quite heartfelt.
Yeah.
It seems to me. Da 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 dee, da da dum, da dee, da da. You know, it's beautiful. I love this Aleman. It's so beautiful, but it feels like he expressively he goes, you know, to real some, you know what I mean, personal feelings, and I think maybe you could do a bit more with those spots. Mm-hmm. Would you mind trying? You can start anywhere you like, but I just want to get into 11. So, you know, 9 or before, any place you'd like.
I'll start on the second beat of 9 then.
Okay.
Chord.
Good, Ernest. Very good. Very good. You know, when you get to so it feels like maybe that chord takes a little too long. You know, we want to hear. So maybe, you know, I think often it's good to keep the melody line intact, you know, to think of breaking the chords before the beat, you know. Mm-hmm. And essentially that means robbing the note before, right? Yeah. So in this case, right, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but rather than then we, and then this, so you might start the chord a little sooner and quicker, and then that seems urgent. What, I didn't even know what chord this. D, right. You take a little time now. It feels to me a little hanging. You know, that there was a tension that wanted to be resolved, and there it's resolved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just felt like you might shape those, you know, that rather than where that the break should be break. And then you go with the melody, perhaps. You know, back at 11, what's expressive seems to be the intervals. You know, I mean, when you think about it, that's quite, you know, well, I don't know what you'd call it. Flowery or sensuous. And then the last one. So that when you get to that, you really, you know, whatever sound, you know, world you're in, but that has your maybe more intensity. Seems to me that's a high point. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, there are a lot of ways to do it, but if you wanted to make a, and then if you feel that as a forward point, then you need to come down, I would think, before that. So in one way. Resolve, dark. You know, you could come down to the C minor, and then somewhere, so that we coordinate. You know, we don't play loud right before we need to make a crescendo or something like that. No. Would you mind going back to 9 once more? I mean, I threw a bunch of stuff at you, but you know, maybe try some, and then we'll go on to the second half.
Okay.
Okay, Ernest, very good, excellent, really terrific playing. Couple of things in this second half. It strikes me in the third bar, so that's bar 21, that might be a low point, you know, because it's developing afterwards. So after, sorry. Now it's continue. Resolves. So from here, I would think the resolution could be less.
Yeah.
You know, which works out with what's coming. Misterioso, maybe. That's the D flat is really out of whoa. You know, where did that come from, right? You know, so to try to color that as much as possible. And then we can, you know, it's like he has these very quick moments, doesn't he, that he just goes to some strange note or strange harmony, and then it's gone in like 2 beats. I mean, that's what is really interesting about the suites. You hear it and you think, are you playing it? And you think, is that really right? But you realize he's going to these different places, different harmonies. They're very strange, and then back somewhere else. It's very, you know, they say
like contemporary
the Baroque
music.
Yeah. And they say the Baroque was complex, right? And that's why the classical period came, the transition period, what do they call it? Rococo, you know, because they didn't want it so complicated anymore. And when you see something like that, you see what they're talking about. It's really a lot going on. So, I mean, I would play up those things a little more, like crazy D flat, you know, with color, some sort of, you know, whatever is there. Would you mind going with the second half once more? And just trying the third bar maybe as a low point, and then go from there. Let it go. Good. Bravo, bravo. Just the final thing I'd say about this, it seems in the second half, the end of the second half, I think it goes once again to a higher sort of expressive point. It seems to me, like if you think about it. This is a sort of surprising, right? Now, it feels sort of insistent, doesn't it? Right? It's sort of going. And again. That feels very open. And continues. It feels quite, direct.
Yeah.
And it always feels like you've arrived, but you haven't arrived. Like even. That's also this stops on the same. That feels, quite intense and sort of personal, confessional, You know what I mean? So I thought you might bring it up to a higher. That to me that seems to be what I'm hearing that in the music.
Yeah.
So you might bring that up to something a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shall we go to the Quran?
Okay.
Great. Bravo. Excellent. Bravo. That's I really like how you play that. It has a great rhythmic drive to it. I thought it was really, really good. I don't think I have much to say about it. It was really good. I would only comment a couple of places for a bit more clarity. In bar 6, make sure we hear that 16th. It's like out of nowhere. What does he write that rhythm for? And I think one wants to hear it. Let's see. I think it's bar 11. Make sure we hear that, bass line. And the 16th. And then that last little flourish. I mean, you did it. You did that flourish beautifully. I always felt, well, that's so kind of strange. And I always wanted to emphasize it a little bit, as if an added thing of energy. Like a little tiny cadenza, look what I did. Then just bar 18, maybe that cadence might be a little more strong or rhythmic. It felt like you relaxed, and I think we've gone to A flat major. I don't know. It just feels like, you want. You might think about that, but very well played, and really like the style you're doing. But what I really want to hear is I want to hear you play the Honecker. Would you? Okay.
Yeah.
How did you come to? I'm sorry.
It's gonna take me some time to tune my cello though, because.
Right. Okay.
But I'll get there.
Okay.
But you were asking?
Oh, how did you come to play it? I didn't know the piece until I saw it on this repertoire list, and so then I started Googling and found something about it. But
well, the way I came about playing it was, I guess the most motivation was brought by COVID, actually. Because the idea was, since we were assuming that school wouldn't happen on site, as you'd say, so we decided we need to try and make as much of a solo program so that we don't need piano accompaniment. And so I started looking at some pieces for solo cello, because I'm not too familiar with the repertoire except for Bach's suites, obviously. And I came across this piece, and this was one of the pieces that my teacher knew as well, and he had suggested it to another one of his pupils, but I ended up taking it, and that's how I came to play it.
Right. Well, it's an interesting piece.
Yeah. I mean,
Onegger
is quite an interesting composer as well.
Yes. Have you ever played any of the Britten solo suites?
No, but that was another thing I did look into a bit. But I know that somebody else in our school, in my year, either played them or still plays them, but very recently played them.
They're very good pieces. Yeah. So have you all been in live at school?
Yeah. By now, I think we've had live lessons for like about a month, but we literally didn't have them for like 4 months, something like that. Our lessons were like this.
On Zoom,
yeah. It's much better having them live, I'm going to be honest.
I completely agree.
Yeah, most people agree.
Yes, I think so. It's it's limited what one can do on Zoom. But.
Yeah.
Bravo. Excellent.
Right.
Yes, bravo. Good, good. Very interesting. I like how you shaped it. He doesn't write anything in the way of dynamics.
Yeah.
At least in what I found.
So same with my music. Yeah.
Right. So I think that was very good to come up there in the middle. I'd thought about maybe just somewhere where the half notes are, but that was very good what you did. When the return statement that was strong, and you did the ending very well. It's kind of a cryptic ending, and it's a little unexpected.
Yeah.
Like you don't think it's gonna. But I thought you worked with the dynamics well, and one could feel it coming, and it sounded logical. It made a lot of sense. It's good. My impression is that the tempo could be a little bit more flowing.
Probably, yeah.
Pavan, I had to find out what Paduana means. Paduana, Pavan. So it's some sort of a slow processional dance. Because it means people are walking slowly, so I was just imagining something along those lines. I know it gets then fast, but that's possible, I think, to handle those things. But where it has that sense of some sort of a movement, in that way. It just felt it was a little slow for it to unfold. It was, one loses track where they are. These, different statements. He goes to different, tonalities, different keys. And I think it might help that. As he wasn't actually French, was he? He was Swiss, but he was kind of French. I mean, he lived in Paris and all. And
he was part of the Six.
Right. And they were. It's not a heavy style. When in doubt, there's a French, lightness of just approach. Not German music. It's supposed to have some element of charm, even though this is a, sort of a, more or less tragic piece. It sounds like, right? Doesn't it? Yeah. And when you consider when it was written, summer of 1945, Paris was just recently liberated, and I think it wasn't a pretty sight. There was a lot going on there, apparently.
I don't think anywhere, except for America, but pretty much everywhere else wasn't a pretty sight. Right. No, I know it was terrible and everywhere in Europe, and worse other places. But I know there was a lot of turmoil in Paris after the war. Who collaborated, who didn't? It was a terrible, well, there were complicated things, but they were lucky that Paris wasn't blown up. That was the plans of the occupying army. Thank goodness the general didn't follow orders. It's a terrible thing to think about. But if it had, but there is a sort of wistfulness to the piece, right? Sort of. It's definitely not a happy piece. There's a shadow, but it's interesting, and the harmonies, are quite interesting. I think that's one of the good things about it, and that I could hear that quite well. These pizzicatos, the end of the fourth line, the chord C, and then E flat minor, and then again and D major, and then A minor. That's
seems like a big part of the piece, you know, that sort of, because it's simple, you know, the motive is the same. And very good. Well done. Very nice job on that.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to know the piece, to hear it. I didn't know it existed. So,
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Now we do.
Now we're, yes, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's great to hear you play, and you're doing really terrifically with the Bach and with this. So
it was great to have you listen as well.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I hope I'll visit Riga one day.
You should. It's actually quite a nice place. Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I've seen pictures. It looks very. Well, there must be an old town there.
Yeah, in pictures it definitely is made to look really nice. Yeah. Not obviously not all parts of Riga are that nice, but the center.
Well, all parts of anywhere are not nice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even Chicago has. Not so,
definitely Chicago and Paris too. You know, for that matter. Yeah, but I know it's. Well, the Baltic countries are very, very interesting. I mean, we've hoped. Never been to Lithuania, where my wife is from.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I have something to look forward to. At any rate, bravo, and bravo to your colleagues, there, and
Thomas and Klaus. Yeah.
Yes. So, thank you all for playing, and it was great to hear you and be a part of this. And I hope I'll see you again sometime.
Hopefully.